Hello, everyone. I'm Morgan Walker. I'm the Managing Director of Brand Marketing at the American Farm Bureau Federation. We've got a fun discussion for you guys today. I'm joined with Cody and Erica Archie of Bar 7 Ranch on social media. Cody and Erica are first-generation ranchers in Central Texas who raise beef cattle and sheep along with their 2 children. Through their authentic approach to social media, they have amassed a substantial following on both TikTok and Instagram. Today, we're going to talk with Cody and Erica about how they've established such a strong relationship with their audience. But before we do that, I wanted to set the stage about content creators in general. So 63% of consumers today say that they trust influencers more than brands. What's more is that research also shows that consumers trust influencers more than scientists on topics such as innovation. So what that tells us is that there's a real opportunity for farm and ranch influencers to bridge the gap between farming and consumers. So thank you for joining us. So the first question I'd like to ask you guys is, how do you see the role of influencers or content creators in shaping the public's perception of agriculture? And what do you think is the most important message that both farmers and ranchers should convey?
I think that's a great question. I mean, just like you said, 63% of people use social media as their avenue for where they to get their information now. I think it's probably higher than that. I don't know how new that is, but I bet it's probably higher than that. But it gives agriculture the opportunity to put our voice out there. You know, we've spent a lot of time in Texas Farm Bureau, 20 years. We started in the Young Farmer and Rancher program. We've gone through the contest, through all the leadership trainings. And, you know, Texas Farm Bureau's motto is to be the voice of agriculture. And they've instilled that in us since the beginning, and with the use of social media, we can really be the voice of agriculture, because it doesn't cost us anything to put out our content. It doesn't matter if you've got 2 or 3 sheep or 1 milk cow that you're milking for your family, or you got 5,000 mama cows and you're weaning calves for 2 months, you know, trying to get everything done. You can put out content that other people would never normally see if they were just expecting the media to show something, or they were expecting, you know, somebody in their hometown. And I'm sure all of you see the same things that we do. You've got people in your hometown. You may be from a small farming or ranching community, and they have no idea exactly what it is you do on your farm. And if you just show a little bit of that, it can really get the word out about agriculture and change the perception from, you know, this is all big ag and they're trying to kill us with everything they do, to, hey, there's a face behind that farm. There's a family there that when we buy from them or we support agriculture, we're supporting their family farm. We're supporting the next generation that's going to provide our food, our fiber, and our fuels.
Erica, anything to add on that?
Am I on now? Okay. Yeah, I think just the genuineness behind seeing a face behind who's growing that food and who's producing fiber is what gets people's trust, gains people's trust, and allows them to see that story behind it. So,
what's so unique about you guys is that you have a real knack for being able to share content from an authentic standpoint. I think that's one of the reasons why people relate so well to you all. So I'd love to kind of lean into that. How have you been able to reach beyond your fence rows? We talk a lot about reaching beyond our fence rows, talking to more than just agriculture and farmers and ranchers. What are ways that you all have been able to do that? And is that something that's conscious, or are you all just out there sharing your everyday life and what happens?
I think from the beginning we decided that we were just going to share whatever was happening that day, whether it was truly agriculture related, because we wanted to show the genuineness of our family behind the farm. So you're seeing things from dry cleaning and laundry to building houses to the ranch side of things. So we get people from all avenues of life on our channel, and they may be there to see dry cleaning content, but they're going to see agriculture too. So we get a lot of crossover and build a bigger audience that way by not niching down to just just agriculture. And we have a lot of comedy on our channel, so a lot of people are there for Cody's antics.
Well, I think what really hit it off for us was the family dynamic, because a lot of men relate with how mean their wives are to them, just like what I have to go through on a daily basis. So I think that's one of the reasons we've had such success. But realistically, I think what it is just being genuine and honest. We don't sugarcoat the things we do. We show the goods and the good side of stuff and the bad side. We show why we do things. I think that's one of the biggest things that if I was going to encourage any of you guys to start posting is just for the educational side of it. Show people and explain why you're doing something. You know, a lot of people are scared to death that, hey, if you implant a steer or you feed an ionophore, that it's going to make me grow a third toe or something. But if you take the time to explain the reason I'm doing this is because it helps with their feed efficiency. It gets them to the finish line sooner. By the time they come off of the rail in their process, there's more estrogen in a head of lettuce than there is in the beef that you're eating, and it's okay. You know, there's been so much false information put out by agriculture over the years that if we take the time to just explain, hey, this is why we're doing this to the general public. I think there's been a paradigm shift since COVID when people were locked up and they started to use social media a lot more. They're looking to you guys and to us as basically like the scientists, the ones that say, these guys do it every day. I think I'm going to pay a little more attention to what they have to say instead of, somebody that's never seen a cow.
And just sharing it on like a kindergarten level, just sharing things really easy to understand for an everyday consumer, not in our big ag terms that, we get so used to talking to other farmers and ranchers about.
Some of it is a bit back to the basics, right? I think a lot of this is shared values. I think it's something that you guys, I think, focus on, and farmers and ranchers across the country, is leaving the land better than they found it, taking care of the animals, finding those shared values between the farmer and the consumer. And I think that that's something that social media really does a great job of allowing you to do, kind of breaking those barriers to make that connection, because people tune in to you guys every day, sometimes for appointment TV, so to speak. So they're looking for you all and for other creators to kind of help them along their journey about learning about agriculture.
I agree. It's an easy way to share our stories, and no matter what avenue of life you're in, we all go through the same struggles. Like us as first generation, people that are starting, anybody that's starting a new business from scratch is going through the same hurdles that we're in. They're experiencing the same emotions, the same setbacks, the same barriers, whether you're wanting to start a restaurant in New York City or you're wanting to start farming and ranching in Central Texas. And for you guys that are multi-generation, there are lots of folks that are out there going through the same struggles that you are. Maybe they're going to inherit an electric business from their dad, but dad says, hey, we're not buying any new trucks because this or that, and you're trying to say, hey, we got to put some new trucks into service because we got to be able to keep up, or we got to introduce this technology because if we don't, we're going to be behind in 2 or 3 years. The same things that we face in agriculture, people in other avenues of life are facing. If we just share that, they can see those similarities, and then because they're there hearing you talk about the things that you go through on a daily basis, they see the agriculture side of you also, and it's like, well, hey, I never really knew that there was so much technology that you could run these new fancy spray rigs that just see a weed and spot spray it as you're going through a field versus broadcasting it across an entire field. And it's like, that's really neat, and they understand why we're doing things.
So we've been talking about shared values and trust, and one of the things I'd like to ask you guys is how you have gone about establishing trust with your audience. And one thing just in general is that farmers are one of the highest ranked professions in terms of being trusted. So I think there's already a lot of work that's been happening there, but I'd love to hear your perspective about how you guys have used your social media to kind of build up that trust and credibility with your audience.
I think from the get-go, just being transparent in what we were doing on our ranch, showing ups and downs, goods and bads, our feeding program, all the way from end planting to feeding corn and not grass-fed, and everything we do, we just transparently show how we do it.
And by the way, we're all for grass-fed. I mean, if you got a grass-fed business and you got when I sold cars for a little while, there's a butt for every seat. There's a mouth for every piece of beef that we produce. So just find the niche that works for you. But like, just to reiterate what Erica said, is just being upfront and transparent. Don't sugarcoat things, but we don't skirt around things. We don't not talk about things that are important to other people. Showing what you do. A lot of people ask, like we have guard dogs, and we get questioned all the time, like when one of our guard dogs comes up all bloodied and tore up from fighting coyotes. It's like, well, are you going to haul her to the vet? Are you going to do this? Well, no, because most of the blood you see on her is from a coyote. It's not from her. She's not wounded. This is her job. I could pin her up at night where she doesn't do that, but she's going to dig a hole or she's going to jump over, because that's instinctually bred into her to do this. I don't have to train her. It's something she wants to do on her own. She wants to protect that flock. And just explaining those things to people and building that trust. You can't just expect somebody to watch one video and trust you and believe what you have to say. But if you're consistently putting information out, and it doesn't even have to be, if you don't want to be in front of a camera, you don't have to be in front of a camera. You can put farm facts or ranch facts on a picture of something that's at your place or what you're doing, because people love to consume that away also. So just taking that first step and stepping outside of your comfort zone and posting on a daily basis is a good step to just get agriculture in front of other people.
And doing it in a calm, educational manner, and not a confrontational, I'm better than you, that's wrong kind of manner.
And one other thing I'm not going to say it, but guys, if you're watching another farmer or rancher post something and you don't necessarily agree with what they're saying, unless it's some kind of blatant bald-faced lie, just swipe past it. Because just because they're not doing it the way you choose to do it or the way that you feel like is the best way to do it, there's no reason for us to air our dirty laundry in front of everybody, because that gives the entire community of agriculture a bad look. So, if I watch one of Mr. Davis's videos about how he bales his hay and I'm like, man, I wouldn't use that baler, or he's 6 hours too late on that, it doesn't add anything to the conversation for me to point that out or say it. And I may not even know why he's doing that. Maybe he wanted a customer that wanted it baled a little bit later or baled a little bit greener. You don't always know the circumstances behind the video that you're seeing. You're getting a 15, 20-second clip of something you may not completely fully understand. So.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question. Really what I took away from that is kind of coming at it from a positive standpoint. So I'd love to hear how you guys have used your platform to advocate for agriculture as a whole in a positive way, and some examples of that.
So, we just post everything. We try to shed a positive light on agriculture. You also have to be willing to show the downfalls of it, because you don't want it to all look, you don't want to just say, everything's perfect, we never have an issue, we never have a problem. This summer, or this spring, we had a lot of rains here in Central Texas. And we have been going for 2 years trying to develop a disease and parasite-free dorper herd in our flock of dorpers. So we weren't worming, we weren't doing anything. It's basically, if one got sick, he just fell out, and it's like his poor genetics are out of the flock from now on, right? Well, when you get 20, 30 inches of rain in 6 weeks, the worms come out bad. And we were gone speaking at a conference. We lost 40 head in the 3 days while we were gone. And we showed that, and that's devastating. But we also were able to talk through about why we're making some changes in our. But by doing that, sorry, go ahead. Oh, by doing that, you just get to share with everybody that, hey, there are problems, there are hurdles that we all face, but we need to share every bit of it.
I know that you all, a couple of months ago, last year, posted a video about a particular issue, advocating on behalf of that. Can you share kind of how you kind of incorporate your everyday life with both your advocacy life within Farm Bureau? Go ahead.
Okay. So I guess last year we had what we called Prop 1 here in Texas, the Right to Farm Act. So if any of y'all have faced this in your states, it's a pretty big deal. So basically what municipalities are doing is they're coming in and they're annexing farmland, ranch land, and they come in there and say, hey, it's kind of vulgar for a cow to breed for a bull to breed a cow in the eye shot of humans now. So if you want to continue to have livestock in your pasture here that's been annexed by the city, you need to build a barn for them to breed in. Or you can cut and bale your hay, but it can't get more than 18 inches tall, and if it stays in the field for more than one day, you're going to be fine. So basically what they were doing was trying to legislate agriculture out of municipalities. So Texas Farm Bureau had a real big stance on, hey, we want the right to farm. We've got to have farmers and ranchers, and if a city comes in and takes over, annexes your farm or ranch land, you need to have the right to farm there. So our county farm bureau and the use of our social media platform, we created a video about the right to farm to explain to the general public exactly what the proposition was about, how they needed to vote on it when it came time to vote, and it passed unanimously. I'm not saying it was because of us, but we had an enormous reach with that, and we were able to use our platforms to spread that word. And even people in other states have said, hey, we've had similar things like that, and now we know how we need to vote on that because we understand now. And that people that didn't even farm or ranch, they're like, it's so important for us to be able to have this, and thank y'all for advocating for it.
Well, I think that goes back to the building relationship portion where you spent so much time, 14 years to be exact, right, Erica? 14 years building up this audience. And so whenever you kind of pivot into more of an advocacy lane, it's natural and folks know you and understand you and have background. Cody, you mentioned it at the top of the conversation. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about Farm Bureau and Texas Farm Bureau's role in helping you guys and kind of coming along with you all on your journey as social media stars.
Well, like I said, Texas Farm Bureau's motto is to be the voice of agriculture, and they've spent a lot of time through the Young Farmer and Rancher program helping teach people to advocate for agriculture, whether it's just posting your daily stuff that you do on your farm or ranch on your own personal pages, to being willing to go talk to legislators, things like that. But I would say a good bit of our media stuff has come from Erica's time that she spent in the PALS program, which is the national. I'll let you talk about that because I don't do it right.
Well, I spent a couple of years in the American Farm Bureau Partners in Advocacy Leadership class, which taught me a lot about how to speak to reporters, how to speak on social media, what language to avoid. So that was a great experience that I brought over as well. But the years before that, coming up in Texas Farm Bureau and just practicing that for the years before that, posting on social media would definitely help that.
And I'm glad to see so many young people here today. I mean, how many of y'all are involved in your YF&R programs in your state? Raise your hand. So congratulations to y'all, because your counterparts that are unwilling to take the time off and come to a convention like this, or maybe go to the Young Farmer Rancher programs within your state, they're going to be the ones that are griping and moaning about how legislation didn't pass that's affecting them, and how they don't feel like they have a voice out there in policy development. But you guys have the forethought to say, hey, I want to go and be a part of this. So congratulations to you guys for taking advantage of that. The Young Farmer and Rancher program is, you can't put a price tag on it. So if you're a county Farm Bureau leader and you've got individuals that are interested in going to your Young Farmer and Rancher programs, find every way you can to fund that and get as many of them there as you can, because without bringing this next generation up, agriculture is going to be dead. We're not going to have anybody to fight for it.
But that's truly what started our journey on social media. I mean, going to a YF&R event is what started us saying, okay, I'm going to start a Facebook and an Instagram account 14 years ago and just start posting what we do every day. So, and that was a long journey, but we just stuck with it.
That's great. And I'd love to open it up to the audience. If you all have any questions for Cody and Erica, please raise your hand, and Aaron, who's right up here, can help find you.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to ask about the TikTok ban or just how some of the changes that you have no control over can impact what you're doing and what you plan to do.
Well, luckily for us, did you want to say something first? Okay.
I was going to say, great question.
Luckily for us, TikTok was definitely what boosted our audience, what got us out of our bubble of family and friends. So we do have a much larger audience there than we have on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But early on, we saw the importance of branching out to other platforms as well. So if something were to happen, we've still built a good audience on those other platforms, and we would just continue to do that.
Diversify is key.
Yes.
Yeah, just like on your operations, you don't want to put everything in one basket. So, and that's the great thing about social media is if you have a channel, say you enjoy TikTok or you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you can film one piece of content and cross-post it on all three of those platforms. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time, and once you get it figured out, it's not like it takes hours to do one. You can shoot a video, edit it in 3 or 4 minutes, and post it, and you're done.
Have you ever done that?
No, if something happens to Erica and I decide to replace her, I'm going to have to hire. I'm going to outsource that.
I have an analytical question in terms of, actually 2 questions. So the first one is in terms of videos, what content have you felt that consumers enjoy the most, and is there a time length on those videos that's like, okay, anything past 30 seconds doesn't do as well as the others?
Peterbilt. That gets the most views of anything is the Peter, but it's really diverse. You never know what the algorithm's going to pick up. I mean, we posted a video the other day of putting on some starch blue jeans, and it's like 500,000 views. Like, who cares about some fat guy putting on his blue jeans? But the thing about content creation is we can make a video and we're like, this is awesome, it's going to go big, and it'll be a dud. And then you do something, you shoot an iguana in the Everglades floating through a canal in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I mean, that video's got 55 million views on YouTube. I mean, and you're the worst person that ever lived. But it really, you really can't judge what's going to be the best. It's just whatever's kind of trending or what people are looking at that time.
And then my second question is, have you ever had, or do you ever feel unsafe in terms of, sharing where your family farms and ranches, and in terms of activists maybe ever coming out and visiting your farm or ranch? Has that ever felt like an issue, or have you ever had run-ins like that?
I just have trust in the Lord, and I don't have any worry with that at all. We post when we're going places, and it's not a big. We do have security cameras because we want to know if somebody steals something. But
I think those are mainly for when I hit my head on something or I have a fit or something. She likes to have, like, there's the proof right there, But early on, I guess if we were really worried about it, we would have taken some measures to begin with. But now, like, if you search Cody Archie or Erica Archie or Bar 7 Ranch, the first thing that pops up is my cell phone number, our address. I mean, if somebody wanted to come, they're going to be there, but we don't really worry about it. I mean, we still...
The UPS man can't even find my house, so...
And we're very humbled, I mean, that anybody would even come and listen to us. I mean, it's like, why would somebody want to track us down? But we just don't really worry about it that much.
How do you deal with the negatives that, when people make negative comments or that kind of thing on your platforms?
So how many of y'all do post stuff regularly on your pages? And how many of you get bad comments? Yeah. There's an expert in every field. If I told you that this water bottle was clear and didn't have a wrapper on it, somebody's going to say it's got one on it. So we have 2 different approaches to that. The good Lord granted me a long time ago thick skin, so I don't worry about it. I mean, it don't bother me. There's only a few things that can get me riled up, but most of them I just blow it off. Now, Erica likes to wear her heart on her sleeve right here, and she gets, somebody calls me fat or talks, trash about me, she gets all upset and wants to go after them. But what'd you learn a long time ago on this?
Well, I've learned lately my rule has been if I read something I don't like, I just get out of it and go do something else, and I'll forget and not think about it. But we also, we've learned to realize if the comment is an educational question and they're actually asking something because they want to know more, then we'll go in and answer it, or we'll make a video talking about that, telling them the answer to that question. But if they're just trying to pick a fight, then we try not to engage.
It's just like the folks that ran through the meeting this morning. If every one of us stood up and screamed and hollered at them, we're not going to change their mind about anything, right? So if if you fight with a fool, that just means there's two of you in a room together, right? I mean, it's just the ones that are genuinely asking questions. And you got to realize, one thing that took us a while to realize is, depending on what part of the country you're from, people talk and ask questions differently, and the way it comes across when you read it may not be the way they meant it when they typed it. So if it's a true, genuine question or a misunderstanding, you can answer it once. But if they, like Erica said, if they're looking to pick a fight, just scroll on past. One thing we don't ever do, unless somebody's just being completely vulgar or something, we don't block them, because I want to pop up, I want to burn them up every time they open their deal. I want them to see my face, and I want them to be like, because eventually I hope they see a capsule sermon, or I hope they see something that changes their mind and they're like, hey, that makes sense. And we've done that a lot, and have received lots of comments like, hey, I didn't really like y'all at the beginning, but now that I've watched this, I've learned a lot, and I never thought about things the way you did, or things like that. So just keep putting it out there. And if you get to where you're getting lots of stuff like that, just turn your comments off, so you don't have to see them, you don't have to read them. The people that need to see it will get it, and you don't have to worry about it.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are at time. I know. So if you have an outstanding question, Cody and Erica, I'm sure, will be happy to chat with you all. You can meet them over here on my right. So really appreciate you guys taking the time to have a conversation with us today, and thank you all for joining us. And
thank y'all.
And be sure to check out Cody and Erica on TikTok, Instagram, and anywhere at Bar 7 Ranch. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.